I should have known something was wrong when Tommy insisted on bringing his iPad to our annual beach vacation dinner. My 7-year-old son usually couldn't care less about electronics when there were sand, waves, and seashells to collect. But that evening, he clutched his tablet like a shield, his small face unusually serious. "Are you sure you want to bring that to dinner, buddy?" I asked as I helped him button up his collar. Grandma Caroline always gets upset about screens at the table. "Please, Mom," he whispered, his blue eyes, so much like his father's, pleading with me. "It's important." I gave in, assuming he'd downloaded a new game he wanted to show his cousins. If I'd known what was really on that iPad, I might have prepared myself better for how this evening would shatter our family's perfect facade. The restaurant was one of those overpriced beachfront places where wealthy families pretend they're living in a magazine spread. My husband David's family had been coming here every summer for 20 years. His mother, Caroline, insisted on maintaining the tradition, even though the food was mediocre and the service got worse every year. "Sarah, darling." Caroline air-kissed my cheeks as we arrived. "That dress is interesting. So brave of you to wear something so casual to dinner." I forced a smile, smoothing down my perfectly appropriate sundress. After 8 years of marriage to her son, I'd learned to let Caroline's little jabs roll off my back. Besides, I had bigger concerns. David was late. Again. He's stuck on a work call, I explained to the questioning looks. "He'll be here soon." Tommy's hand slipped into mine, squeezing tight. When I looked down, he was watching me with those knowing eyes that sometimes made him seem decades older than 7. We took our seats at the long table, Caroline at the head, of course, with David's sisters and their families filling in the spaces. Tommy insisted on sitting next to me instead of with his cousins, that iPad still clutched in his lap. "No electronics at dinner," Caroline reminded him sharply. "Really, Sarah, you should enforce better rules." Before I could respond, my phone buzzed with a text from David. "Running late. Start without me. Big client emergency." I showed the message to Caroline, who pressed her lips together disapprovingly. Well, at least my son is dedicated to his career, though it would be nice if he could manage his time better for family events. That's when Tommy tugged on my sleeve. "Mom," he whispered, "I need to show you something." "Not now, sweetie. Let's order first." "Please, Mom," his voice cracked slightly. "It's about why Dad's really late." Something in his tone made my stomach drop. I glanced around the table, but everyone was absorbed in their menus and conversations. Slowly, I took the iPad Tommy was offering. "The password is baseball," he said quietly, like the games Dad keeps missing. My hands trembled slightly as I typed in the password. The screen opened to David's Messenger account. He must have forgotten to log out after letting Tommy play games on the tablet. But instead of game notifications, I found myself staring at months of messages between my husband and his new secretary, Jessica. "Working late again?" Read one message from 2 weeks ago. "Miss you already. Can't wait for our weekend away," said another. "The divorce papers are ready. I just need the right time to tell her." Photos followed. David and a young blonde woman I recognized from the office holiday party. They were at restaurants at what looked like a real estate showing, and finally, my heart stopped, standing in front of a positive pregnancy test. The messages blurred as tears filled my eyes. Through the haze, I saw one final exchange from just hours ago. "Jessica, when are you going to tell them?" "David, soon, just need to get through this stupid family vacation first." "I found it last week." Tommy's small voice cut through my shock. "When Dad let me play Minecraft." I didn't mean to look, but the messages kept popping up. I stared at my son, this precious boy who had been carrying this terrible knowledge alone for days. "Why didn't you tell me sooner, baby?" He looked down at his lap. "I was scared. And I thought maybe if I showed you with everyone here, Dad couldn't pretend it wasn't real. Like when he pretends he has to work instead of coming to my games." The wisdom and pain in those words felt like a physical blow. My 7-year-old had orchestrated this moment to protect me, to ensure his father couldn't deny the truth. While I'd been making excuses for David's absences, Tommy had been watching, understanding more than any child should have to. As if on cue, David's voice boomed across the restaurant. "Sorry I'm late, everyone. Traffic was terrible." He strode toward our table, tall and handsome in his business suit, looking every bit the successful lawyer and family man. But as he bent to kiss my cheek, I caught a whiff of unfamiliar perfume. Actually, I said, my voice steadier than I felt, we need to talk about where you really were. The color drained from his face as his eyes landed on the iPad in my hands. Sarah, I can explain. Can you explain the house you were viewing with Jessica? Or the baby she's carrying? Or the divorce papers you've already prepared? The table fell silent. Caroline's fork clattered against her plate. David's sisters exchanged shocked looks while their husbands suddenly became very interested in their water glasses. Who told? David's eyes landed on Tommy, and his expression darkened. You went through my private messages. Don't you dare. I cut him off, standing up. Don't you dare try to blame our son for your betrayal. He's been watching you miss his games, lie to his face, destroy his family. He's 7 years old, David. 7. And he had to be the one to tell me the truth because you were too much of a coward. Tommy pressed against my side, and I wrapped my arm around him protectively. In that moment, looking at my husband's guilty face across the fancy table settings and overpriced wine glasses, I felt something shift inside me. The hurt was still there, but now it was hardening into something stronger. Caroline, I said, turning to my mother-in-law, I apologize for ruining another one of your perfect family dinners. Tommy, sweetie, would you like to go get ice cream instead? My son nodded, managing a small smile. As we turned to leave, Caroline found her voice. David, explain yourself. There must be some mistake. Ask him about the sonogram picture on his phone. Tommy called back over his shoulder, showing wisdom beyond his years once again. The one he thinks is hidden in his archived photos. We walked out of that restaurant with our heads held high, leaving behind the shocked silence and my husband's stammered excuses. In the warm evening air, Tommy slipped his small hand into mine. I'm sorry, Mom, he whispered. I knelt down to his level, looking into those bright, brave eyes. Never apologize for telling the truth, baby. You did the right thing. Now how about that ice cream? He managed a real smile this time. Can we get 2 scoops? The next morning, I woke up to 47 missed calls and a string of text messages. Most were from David, alternating between desperate apologies and angry accusations. How dare I humiliate him in front of his family? What was I thinking, letting our 7-year-old expose his private messages? The irony of him talking about privacy while hiding a pregnant girlfriend wasn't lost on me. Caroline had also bombarded my phone. We need to discuss this like adults. Think about the family name. There must be some reasonable explanation. The last message made me laugh through my tears. I'm sure if you'd been more attentive at home, David wouldn't have strayed. Tommy and I had checked into a beachfront hotel just a few blocks from the family's rental house. It cost a fortune, but the look of relief on my son's face when I told him we didn't have to go back was worth every penny. Mom? Tommy's voice came from the balcony where he was watching the sunrise. Is Dad going to be mad at me forever? My heart broke all over again. I joined him outside, wrapping a blanket around both our shoulders. Nothing about this is your fault, sweetie. Dad made his choices, and now he has to live with the consequences. But Grandma Caroline said. What did she say? I tried to keep the edge out of my voice. He looked down at his hands. She came to my room last night before dinner. Said if I was a better son, spent less time with baseball and more time with Dad's law stuff, maybe he wouldn't need a new family. The fury that rose in me was unlike anything I ever felt. Caroline Matthews had actually gone to my child, my 7-year-old son, and tried to make him feel responsible for his father's affair. In that moment, I made a decision that would change everything. Pack your bag, buddy, we're going home. But the vacation. Sometimes, I said, pulling out my phone, vacations need to end early so better things can begin. I called my sister Kate, who'd always been my rock. She answered on the first ring, probably worried after the string of texts I'd sent her last night. I need a favor, I said. Can you go to my house and change the locks? Also, pack up David's things and put them in the garage. I'll explain everything when we get home. Already on it, she replied. Mom and Dad are here too. We've got your back, sis. As we packed, someone knocked on our hotel room door. Through the peephole, I saw David standing there in yesterday's rumpled suit. Sarah, please, he called through the door. Let me explain. Tommy, buddy, I know you're in there. Talk to me. Tommy froze, his favorite baseball cap halfway to his suitcase. I watched him struggle with the instinct to run to his father, to believe whatever explanation David had prepared. You don't have to talk to him if you don't want to, I said softly. Tommy straightened his small shoulders. I don't want to. Your mother is manipulating you. David's voice rose. She's turning you against me. That did it. I yanked open the door, keeping the security chain in place. Like you turned him against baseball. His passion, his joy, the thing he loves most in the world. How many games did you miss while you were starting your new family, David? I was building a future, making partner take sacrifice. 14, Tommy said quietly from behind me. You missed 14 games. I counted. David's face crumpled. For a moment, I saw genuine pain there, maybe even regret. But then his lawyer mask slipped back into place. I'll fight you for custody, he said. My son needs his father. Your son needs therapy to deal with the trauma of his father's betrayal, I shot back. And as for custody, I wonder what the judge will think about those text messages where you plan to abandon us. The ones where you called Tommy's baseball a waste of time. Our son was wise enough to take screenshots. David's face went pale. He's 7 years old. He shouldn't be involved in this. You involved him the moment you chose your secretary over his baseball games. I started to close the door. Oh, and David, the next time you see us will be in court. Hope your new family was worth it. I turned back to Tommy, expecting tears, but instead found him standing tall, his suitcase packed neatly beside him. Can we get breakfast before we drive home? He asked. I'm thinking waffles. I smiled, marveling at his resilience. Waffles sound perfect. As we ate at a small diner far from the family's usual spots, Tommy pushed his eggs around his plate. Mom, do you think Jessica's baby will be my brother or sister? The question caught me off guard. Technically, yes, but you don't have to think about that right now. Will Dad love them more because they're newer? Oh, sweetheart, I reached across the table to squeeze his hand. Your dad's choices have nothing to do with love. Sometimes adults make selfish decisions that hurt the people around them. But I promise you, no new baby could ever replace you. He nodded, processing this with the same thoughtful expression he got when working out complex math problems. Maybe, he said finally, we can make our own new family, just you and me, and maybe a dog. I laughed, feeling lighter than I had in months. A dog, huh? Well, the house does have a big backyard. And I'll never miss your important stuff, he added seriously. Not ever. Tears pricked my eyes. Same here, buddy. Every game, every practice, every moment. I'll be there. As we drove home, leaving behind the beach house full of Matthew's family drama, Tommy dozed in the backseat clutching his iPad, now cleared of his father's accounts and loaded with actual age-appropriate games. I thought about David's threat to fight for custody, about Caroline's inevitable attempts to preserve the family's reputation, about the long road ahead. But then I looked in the rearview mirror at my sleeping son, this incredible child who'd been brave enough to tell the truth when all the adults in his life were living lies. And I knew we'd be okay. More than okay. Tommy stirred slightly. Mom, he mumbled. Can we name the dog Home Run? I smiled. Home Run is a perfect name, baby. Just perfect. The highway stretched out before us, leading away from the life we'd known and toward something new, something honest, something ours. 6 months later, Tommy hit his first home run. The ball soared over the fence as the crowd erupted in cheers. From my spot in the bleachers, I jumped up screaming, while beside me, our golden retriever Home Run lived up to his name by barking excitedly. Tommy rounded the bases with the biggest smile I'd seen since that fateful vacation dinner. That's my boy, I shouted, not caring that I probably looked ridiculous dancing in the stands. As Tommy crossed home plate, his teammates swarmed him. Through the celebration, his eyes found mine, and he gave me our secret signal, a tiny salute we developed during the divorce proceedings. It meant, we've got this. And we did have it, though the road hadn't been easy. David, true to his word, had tried to fight for custody, but those screenshots Tommy had taken proved invaluable. The judge was particularly interested in the messages where David had planned to abandon us, and his new life with Jessica didn't exactly paint him as father of the year. Caroline had shown up at our house 3 times, bearing gifts and thinly veiled threats about keeping this in the family. Each time, Home Run's barking drove her away before she could finish her speech about family legacy. It seemed even our dog had good judgment about toxic people. Mom, Tommy came running over after the game, still clutching the home run ball. Did you see? Did you get it on video? Every second, I assured him, holding up my phone. Want to send it to Aunt Kate? He nodded enthusiastically, then hesitated. Should we send it to Dad too? My heart squeezed. Despite everything, Tommy still hoped his father would care about his achievements. David had been granted supervised visitation twice a month, but he'd already canceled 3 times due to work commitments. We can send it if you want to, buddy, but remember what Dr. Martinez said about managing expectations. Tommy nodded solemnly. We've been seeing a family therapist who specialized in helping children through divorce. She'd been teaching Tommy that his father's choices reflected on David, not on Tommy's worth. I know, he said, but maybe this time he'll come to the next game. How about we get ice cream and talk about it? I suggested, our standard procedure for handling tough emotions. At the ice cream shop, Tommy swirled his spoon through his triple chocolate sundae. Billy's dad asked if he could help coach the team, he said carefully, since he used to play in college. I knew Billy's dad, Mark, a kind, divorced father who never missed a game and always had encouraging words for all the kids. He'd been helping Tommy with his swing after practice. That would be nice, I said neutrally, letting Tommy lead the conversation. Yeah. He took a big bite of ice cream, and he asked if we wanted to come to the team BBQ at his house next weekend. Billy says his dad makes the best burgers. I hid my smile. Mark had actually asked me about the BBQ after last week's practice, carefully mentioning that he'd understand if it was too soon after the divorce. Would you like to go? Tommy nodded. Can Homerun come too? Billy says they have a big yard. I'll check with Mark. As if on cue, my phone buzzed with a text. It was David, finally responding to the home run video. Good job, sport. Sorry I missed it. Busy with the new baby. Tommy's face fell as he read the message, but then, surprisingly, he straightened his shoulders. You know what, Mom? I don't want to send Dad any more videos. Are you sure? Yeah. He looked at me with those wise eyes that had seen too much too young. He's busy with his new family, but we're busy with our better family. You, me, Homerun, Aunt Kate, and he blushed slightly, maybe Billy and his dad too. I reached across the table to squeeze his hand. Our better family sounds perfect. That night, as I tucked Tommy into bed, Homerun curled up at his feet. I found the old iPad that had changed our lives. Tommy had turned it into a scrapbook of sorts, filling it with pictures of his games, his friends, and our little family's new traditions. The last photo was from today, Tommy holding his home run ball, me and Homerun on either side of him, all of us beaming. Below it, he typed, "My real family." Hey, Mom? Tommy called as I turned to leave. I'm glad you're not sad anymore. I paused in the doorway. What makes you think I was sad before? You used to cry in your room when Dad was working late, but now you laugh more, and your eyes are sparkly again. I walked back to kiss his forehead, marveling at how children see everything. You make my eyes sparkly, buddy. You and Homerun and our better family, you're all I need. And maybe Mark's burgers, he added with a mischievous grin. I laughed, and maybe Mark's burgers. Good night, my brave boy. As I closed his door, I caught a glimpse of my reflection in the hallway mirror. Tommy was right, my eyes were sparkling again. Sometimes it takes a child's courage to show us the way to happiness. Sometimes the hardest endings lead to the best beginnings. And sometimes I thought as I deleted David's text without responding, the family you choose is stronger than the family you're born into or marry into. Outside, the home run ball sat proudly on Tommy's dresser, a testament to what we could achieve on our own. In the end, it wasn't about the hit itself, but about who was there to witness it, to cheer, to celebrate. Our better family, our new beginning, our home run.